Welcome back to another UNC Tar Heels basketball podcast here on TarHeelIllustrated.com. And if you're watching us on our very fast-growing YouTube channel, that is called Tar Heel Illustrated. I am THI publisher Andrew Jones, and joining me is our director of basketball recruiting and analyst, longtime college AAU and high school coach, Mr. David Sisk. And David, we continue to preview the Tar Heels' fast-approaching basketball season, doing podcasts on individual heels. And the guy we're going to talk about tonight is the longest tenured heel on the roster. He is a senior, all 4 of his years at North Carolina. We have to lay out that distinction because the roster is coming from all kinds of places these days. Senior wing, Leaky Black. He has started at point guard. He started at shooting guard. He started at the 3, and he has started at the 4 at certain times during his Carolina career. However, his role this year is something that going into the season, I have no clue. So I'm going to ask you, what do you think about Leaky Black heading in to the 2021-22 season?
For starters, looking at his numbers here, he started 59 games the last 2 years. So obviously he's got a place on a roster. But I look at his minutes played, 10.3 minutes per game as a freshman, 29.7 minutes as a sophomore, 27.6 minutes. You know, that's quite a bit of time. You know, you're looking at 28, 29 minutes a game. We've talked about the deeper roster with North Carolina. And when we've gone back and talked about some of the players that they have in certain spots that they're crowded at, the bigger wings are one of those spots. Leaky Black, Dontrez Styles, Puff Johnson. You know, you've got your transfer from Virginia. So we've got a lot of guys that can play in that spot. Leaky Black's going to have a place on this roster. He's going to have a place in this lineup. He may be starting. I don't know. But I don't think he's going to play 30 minutes a game.
No.
And so and that's the thing. Can he play less? Can he play between 12 and 20, which I think that's what's going to be. I would say somewhere probably between about 12 and 16 minutes per game, maybe a little bit more. We'll see. But if he plays that amount, can he have an impact? I think he can. I think as a senior, I think he knows. And I think Hubert's thing is to sell it, okay, if you start, you have a more limited role. Don't get down on it. If you come off the bench, don't get down on it. And that's the thing as a senior. I think he's going to be mature. You know, I've never heard any, and I'm sure you're closer to it than I am there, living right there at Chapel Hill. I've never heard anything bad about him and have no reason to think if it didn't go his way and he didn't play quite as much as he wanted to, that he'd be a poison. I don't see that at all. No. So, like I said, they'll weed themselves out and we'll see. But he is a proven commodity. You know, now he's not going to get mixed up with Jerry Stackhouse and Rasheed Wallace, you know, but he has been a solid contributor. Like I said, if he wouldn't have played 30 minutes a game last year for an NCAA tournament team if he wasn't able to bring some things. So I think, you know, Hubert knows he's not a mystery of what you're going to get out of him. I think it's more of a mystery on some of the others. And then with that roster, trying to find out what these other guys do, then where does Leaky Black's, where is his fit? But I don't think it's a mystery about Leaky. Like I said, I think you wonder some more about these younger guys.
During games last year, we would get, you know, our Twitter feed would get deluged about things that people didn't like, and people would get annoyed or upset sometimes when Leaky would shoot, and people, I think when they judge him as a player, they judge him on maybe trying to do some things a year ago that were not in his strength, that were not one of his strengths. And I think with the way the roster is composed now, and with the younger guys that were a part of last year's team being more experienced, more refined, more mature, and all that kind of stuff, I don't think Leaky's going to have to do some of the things that maybe weren't a great look at times. He's not a very good shooter. And sometimes he took shots last year because someone had to take the shot. So I think you'll see him on the court this year. Like you just said a few minutes ago, Hubert will say, look, you're going to play, but you don't need to do as much as you tried to do a year ago because that's not a requirement. We're going to have those answers when you're on the floor. So play to your strengths. So to that, I asked Hubert 2 weeks ago in Charlotte, what are you looking to get from Leaky Black? He went right to his ability to defend. Look, he's long, he's 6'8", he's got a 6'10" wingspan, he's cagey, he's a smart guy, he's competitive. He not only could be a good on-ball defender, but Leaky could be an excellent off-ball defender. And that'll be needed. You gotta win championships with guys like that on the floor. The other thing he said, which I thought was interesting, because Roy used to talk about, I would need more rebounding out of Leaky. I need more rebounding out of Leaky. Hubert said Leaky can be a great offensive rebounder. He's going to be unguarded at times, or certainly unchecked the way the ball's going to be moving around. And he's got a knack for the ball. He could get those offside rebounds and put back. He had 7 or more rebounds, I believe, in 8 games or 7 games last year. He had double figures of rebounds a couple times in the first month when his minutes are high, and they really needed that because they weren't as good rebounding then as they were later in the year. And I do think that the flare-ups that he showed with some of those things, defensively, rebounding, and even assists, he had 7 or more assists, I think, in 4 games last year. He could do some of those things that don't require him to shoot a lot, that don't require him to drive a lot. He could be that piece to the puzzle out there. And he's an older guy, a mature guy. He's a been there, done that guy as well. And I think Hubert will lean on him for some of that. But I also would not be surprised, David, and I want your thoughts on this. I would not be surprised, and I'm not saying this with any inside knowledge whatsoever, that there's already been that discussion. Leaky kind of has an idea what his role is going to be, and perhaps he comes off the bench. Perhaps it is the 12 to 16 minute mark, like you said. And I agree with you. Leaky will be fine with it. He wants to win. He wants to go out on a high note, and he's not going to be a problem if he's not getting the minutes. He's not going to be one of those guys. That is absolutely not in Leaky Black's DNA.
I'm going to say the same thing about Leaky that I've said about Caleb Love. Now, I want to go back to look at Leaky's numbers last year. 22.2% from 3, 42.5% from the field. Now, the year before that, 25.4% from 3, 40% from the field. So what he needs to do offensively, he doesn't have to give them 20 points a game, but being efficient, if he could get his field goal percentage, and I don't know about the threes, but if he could get his overall field goal percentage up to over 45%, that would be huge. Now, that doesn't sound like a whole lot from 42.5% from 40 to 45, between 45 and 50, but it is. It matters. You have so many close games. You start going into 100 shots. It makes a difference in these close games. So how does he do that? Well, like I said, I'm going to say the same thing I said about Caleb Love. As if you go back to last year's team, and the reason that I thought about this, you made a great point. Somebody had to shoot the shots last year. I think if you watch North Carolina, and I think I'm preaching to the choir here to you and people that have watched this, it was frustrating last year watching the team, and we've talked about it. The bigs filling up the lane, the guards have got no driving lanes. People are not making outside shots. The defense are just packed in. It's like a root canal, every offensive possession almost. So what happens? They dare you to shoot outside. You're not in rhythm. You've got non-shooters playing outside their game, but that shot clock goes down, it seemed like so many times, under 10 seconds. And, man, you really tighten up. There's no driving lanes. There's none of that. And Leaky, to me, just like Caleb Love, could not play to his strength last year. I think Leaky, when we saw him, fast break on an offense, being able to get that thing, especially in his left hand down on the baseline, getting to the rim. To me, that's when he was at his best. So you take him this year with more shooters. You add a Brady Manick to Kerwin Walton. You have Caleb Love shooting in. I think DeMarco Dunn could be a guy that could add more shots. Dawson Garcia could make shots out there. So you've got guys who are making shots from the outside. You're playing a little bit faster because you can shoot. And you're not as big waiting on these guys to get set up in the high-low, and you're a little bit quicker, a little bit faster all the way around collectively. I think that plays to his wheelhouse. Running the floor, being able to get fast break opportunities, but being able, to me, because you can't pack it in and help. If I'm one player away from Kerwin Walton, guess what? I can put the ball on the floor and Kerwin Walton's man can't come and help.
Yep.
Or I can put the ball on the floor and Brady Manick, if he's on the opposite side of the floor, his guy can't put 2 feet in the lane to play help side. He's got to stay out there and cheat. I can get to the rim. So I think he's got more opportunities to do what he does best. So you could see Leaky Black play less minutes and be just infinitely more successful, more efficient than he was last year. I can see that scenario just plain as day.
Fill in the lane, like you said. Tell you, I could see backdoor layups for Leaky. I could see the defender sleeping on him because he's not the guy that's going to shoot, well, he did hit 4 threes against Miami last year, but other than that, then probably not going to happen this year. I could see him converting on backdoor stuff. I could see him getting weak side offensive rebounds and converting. That's how you go from 40 to 45%.
And I see more off the dribble, to be honest with you, because on the back door, a lot of times you get back door when you're overplaying the guy because you don't want him to shoot. Defenders not going to go all the way out with Leaky. They're going to play off a little bit.
I think he can catch guys napping. I think he can catch guys trying to help, and he's going to be open.
But I think in the movement, of things, now he just don't go down and he's stationary and he gets a ball and just drives by somebody because they're probably going to play off. But what happens in the movement as players move and the ball moves and he gets the ball in good angles in a good spot where his man is not in perfect position, that's when he goes to the rim. And I see him more as a guy this year whose assist numbers could go up, who could be more a playmaker because he's drawing help and he's kicking. He's the guy that can do that we know that they've got back from that wing spot. The guy that can put the ball on the floor and get to the rim is going to be Leaky Black. Now, it's kind of like the old analogy about a dog chases a car. Well, you catch a car, what are you going to do with it? Yeah. So I think that's here now. He gets to the rim. He gets 2 feet in the lane. He gets the defense, to where they're at. Either they're sticking out on their guy or they're coming to help. Now, what do you do with it? He's got to make the right decisions. If they help, kick. If they don't help, commit, finish. So, he'll have more that he's not really had those opportunities in the past. So this is going to be new.
There aren't many teams that have a 6'8" wing who has started 7 games at the point. And also think about the value. Let's say he is a guy who comes off the bench and he is in that 12 to 16 minute range. Think about the value of having a guy that experienced, the guy who was on a number 1 seed when he was a freshman. He knows what it looks like. He knows what it sounds like, it feels like, it smells like to be on a team like that. And if he's okay in that role, he's going to elevate the team significantly. And he's been through that already. So I think the value that Leaky can provide, it's not going to be in highlight reel stuff. It's not going to stuff the stat sheet in a big time way, but he can really be a valuable commodity. This team has a valuable part as they march through the season, especially when they got to go on the road, play in a raucous place. He's done that before. Brady Manick's done that. Not a lot of guys in this roster have done that. All Andrew, the sophomores, none of them have done it.
I go back to exactly a year ago when we were doing these on these videos on each player, and we talked about Andrew Playtech. And I kind of made the same analogy with him, and you were right on this, and you said, here's my fear, that he's not going to be a guy that's really going to contribute points, and he's not going to be one of the top couple players. He's going to be well down the pecking order. No matter how long he's been there, guys kind of, because he is not contributing as much, some of these other guys start to tune him out. I don't see that with Leaky.
I agree.
Even though if Leaky's minutes go down, Leaky can bring stuff and be a valuable contributor. So if I'm Hubert Davis, I say, all right, freshman, Dontrez Styles particularly, you're similar. You got a similar body. You look at what kind of teammate he is. You look at what kind of leader he does. You look at what he brings, how he accepts his role. If I was you, Dontrez, I would find out what kind of toothpaste he used. I'd find out what kind of boxer shorts he wore. I would find out, what kind of shampoo he used, and I would do exactly what he does. Be a sponge. Learn from him as much as you can, because guys like Leaky as seniors and Brady Manick, those kind of guys, they're invaluable. They set the tone for these young guys, and the young guys can learn. And then who knows? It may be Dontrez's time. Dontrez may come in and he may be the absolute bomb at that spot, and he may be a better player next year than Leaky is. He may get Leaky's playing time.
Yep.
But even if he does, I think he can learn from Leaky. When Hubert can say, look, man, be a sponge. Follow him around. Be like a puppy. Follow him everywhere and find out everything he does and learn from him.
I think whatever Leaky's role will become, he will be a fanny smacker, and every really good team, every championship contender has to have a couple of fanny smackers. I think Leaky can do that well. I think Justin McCoy may grow into that as well, but that's certainly something I think Leaky could do. And I think that's a great point you just made about those guys learning, about Dontrez learning from Leaky. No doubt about it. And not just him, but the other ones. I think Caleb and those guys could still learn from him, and certainly probably have, because that was a very challenging year they went through. But I can tell you from personal experience, 2 years ago was more challenging when that club went 14-19. And I was in the locker room after a lot of rough losses on the road. And Leaky Black, the way he handled himself, the way he comported himself with the media, the way he was a spokesman for the team, was the kind of thing. I remember walking out of there talking to a fellow member of the media saying, that guy's going to be fine in life. He can handle, when you lose at a lot of schools, maybe the world's not coming to an end. But David, you cover recruiting for North Carolina, Kentucky. You're connected to both programs. When North Carolina and Kentucky lose a basketball game, a lot of people think the world's coming to an end. And Leaky handled that so well. So he's going to be a valuable voice, a valuable hand smacking fannies, and he's going to be a valuable dude on the airplane when they're on road trips. He's just going to be the kind of guy that's going to help this team, even in ways that don't show up in the box score. And I'm not saying that to diminish him as a player. I'm saying that because that's absolutely a value he will bring to this team.
Yeah, I agree. But like I said, less can be more.
Absolutely. He's David Sisk. I'm Andrew Jones. We got a couple more coming, so we appreciate you guys checking out all of our videos. If you have not seen any of the ones that we've done yet, just go to our YouTube channel and scroll down. They're all over the place. Plus, there's a lot of other stuff. Football recruiting, basketball recruiting, football. We're all over the Tar Heels like crazy. And of course, when the basketball season starts, we go wherever the Tar Heels go. We appreciate you guys stopping by.